What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be going through some of the more advanced techniques on how you can use supplier price lists and your bulk scanner to get some good discounts from your supplier. Now, getting discounts is one of the most important things in this Amazon game. It's the thing that's going to differentiate you from your competition. It's the thing that basically makes some sellers make a lot of money while other sellers just wither and fail, because a lot of people start this game, they start trying to sell on Amazon and they don't amount to anything. It's because they don't know the right techniques on how to really negotiate for those suppliers. They think that negotiating is just about calling and saying, hey, give me a discount on this item. Okay, which item? How are you going to pinpoint these items? Now, I'm going to be doing this using Astro Advanced Analytics. It's a good tool, very fast and a very good interface, but you can really use any scanner you want, any bulk scanner you want. You can pretty much do a lot of these techniques. I just like using this tool. Now, let me just go ahead and minimize myself. Now, I'm going to be using a well-known list. A lot of people might know this list, one of the more popular suppliers of grocery products. Their name is Kehe or Kehe. It's a bit confusing how they're pronounced, but that's how they're spelled. So a lot of people, you might know it. A lot of massive suppliers massive Amazon sellers go through them as well. They use this list. They use this supplier. Now, the difference is a lot of people can make money from it while other people really struggle to make money. It's a massive list, and it's pretty much, it's one of the suppliers where I tell people you're basically playing on hard mode if you're going with these guys. But having said that, if you really know how to master this list, and if you use the right tools, you can go through this list and really compete with the pros. Okay, so this is one of the older lists that I had. So this is from late 2024. So I don't care about showing this list, to be honest. So let's get started. Now, why, or rather than why, how do we ask for discounts? Why would we ask for a discount on a product? Now, we can't ask for a discount. We shouldn't ask for a discount on a product that only sells 60 units a month. Because the supplier at the end of the day wants you to buy a lot of units from them in order for them to be able to give you the discount. You can't say, hey, I'll buy 60 units, give me a 40% discount. They'll be like, F off. But if you say, hey, I'll buy 1,000 units, I'll buy 1,500 units, or sometimes even just 200 units, can you give me that discount? They'll be a lot more accommodating to you. Or at least if you can come up with a large order altogether, like a $10,000 or a $20,000 order. Obviously, it depends on the supplier. Some suppliers give you discounts at $5,000, while other suppliers might need, a $50,000 order just to give you a 10% discount. It's different. It just depends. But we're still going to go, all these techniques still apply to you regardless. Okay, so back to the scanner now. So you want to upload all your supplier's products to a scanner, whichever tool that you might use. So I like this tool because we can have a lot of, we have this view where you can see the products. You can just click on each one. It's as if you're visiting the listings and all the plugins are appearing in front of you. You have your chart here. You have all your seller data here. You have your, the seller's names there, the buy box one, all these types of things. Their stock, everything appears in this one interface. That's why I like using this one so much. Now, again, first thing we want to do is we want to focus on high volume products. But before that, we also want to look at the profit. Obviously, the goal of the game is to get profit. Now, we don't just have to look at the ones that are profitable right now. Remember, we're going to be asking for a discount on these products. So even a product, for example, with $1 loss or $1.15 or 65-cent loss, if we were to get like a 10 or 20 or 30% discount on a lot of these items, they might become very profitable. And what justifies a 20 or 30% ROI is the fact that it sells in very high volume. So if we have a product that has a minus 10% ROI, but we get a discount on it of a 20%, for example, discount, then it might become a very good product to look at and make some money on. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to filter by ROI, and I'm going to say show us products that have more than not 15% ROI, a minus 15% ROI. So minus 15% and above, so minus 15%, minus 10%, minus 5%, and all the way up to even a very profitable product with 60% or 80% ROI. So they're all going to be included in this. So we're at 6,231 items. So let's apply just that one filter for now. So we're at 2,500 at the moment. Now, of course, we can't be requesting products for discounts on products that only sell 50 units a month, because if we get a product that sells 50 units a month and we ask for 600 units, it's going to take 12 months for those products to sell off. It's a waste of time, waste of your capital allocation. So we want to look for products that sell in high volume. One thing I like about Astro is there's obviously the sales volume. We can filter by whatever sold in the last 30 days, but we can go a bit further than that. So what I'm going to actually filter by at this point is I'm going to filter by what it sells considering the competition. So if there's 5 competitors on an ASIN, that means we'll be the 6th. So if it was selling 1,200 units and there were 5 competitors, that means we're the 6th. And if it were to be divided evenly amongst the sellers, that would mean that would get 200 each based on the 1,200 per month sales. So I want to filter not by the sales volume, but by the sales volume divided by the competition. So to do that, I'm going to scroll down to share of the 30-day sales. And I want to look at products that for me, allocated just to me, is more than 100 units per month. So let's just do that and apply these filters. So all of a sudden we're down to 816 items. So we're slowly going through this list. Now there are some products here, for example, where the brand's a seller. So this one here, Kabu Tree Free, blah, blah, blah. The brand's a seller. You see that the brand's right there, Kabu Paper Products, and they're selling the products. So maybe it might be a good idea to avoid some of these, but maybe not, because what I see, this one here, even though the brand is selling the product, there's a lot of other sellers also selling the product here, and they don't seem to be having a problem with the brand selling alongside them, although the brand doesn't seem to have a problem with those other sellers selling alongside them. So maybe we can consider some of them, but what we should be doing is removing any products where there is only one FBA seller, because in all likelihood, if there's only one FBA seller, that would mean that they have exclusive rights, especially with these grocery products and these, some of these groceries and beauty products, they usually have exclusive rights. So we want to remove any ASIN that has only one FBA seller. So let's scroll down to FBA right there and say more than shows products with more than one FBA seller. I'm also going to remove any products that have any IP issues. For example, here we have, there's 3 levels of IP issues on this software. So you have high level, medium level, and low level. So I'm just going to remove anything with a medium or a high level. So I'm going to go to IP issues and say, show me products that have less than medium. So low and no threads are going to appear. We're going to also remove any hazmat. I'm not sure if you saw hazmat, you can keep them in there. I don't sell hazmat anymore because I think it's just a waste of time and money these days. Maybe FBMing them is fine, but I prefer just to avoid completely. One of the reasons why I'm real annoyed with the hazmat program is every time, like my prep center is in New Jersey, every time I try to get a hazmat order through, they try to send the products to the other side of the country, and it's super expensive and it ends up not being profitable. So if you do want to consider hazmat, make sure the ROI is really high, more than 70-80% ROI, and the actual dollar amount of profit is at least $5. If you're making $20 profit from a hazmat product, yeah, fair enough, go for it. So yeah, no hazmat for me. Next, I don't want to see products with too much Amazon in stock. So I want to go say Amazon is in stock less than 50% of the time. And let's see. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 filters. I think that's enough for now. Oh, let's remove the meltables as well. So there's a meltable right there. Let's remove the meltables. So meltables is false. I think that's good enough. One other kind of a advanced trick as well is you also don't want to really see the products that are very cheap. And why am I saying this? Because if a product's like $1 and it only has like minus 10% ROI, for example, even if you were to get a 20% discount on that, it still might most likely be a loss, but we'll just keep them in here for now. But I think if you dive down that hole, you understand what I mean, why sometimes it's not really worth looking at products like this. Now, looking at this list, we're down to 238 ASINs. So it's a solid number. It's a number we can look at. Obviously, this is a very large list that we started off with. Heaps of products in here. There's a lot of these products might be multi-packs. So you basically want to go through all these products and make sure you have the correct quantity of packages, whatever pack it is. all these first 6 or 7, 8, they look correct. They're not multi-packs. So I'll just keep it as it is right now. So from 6,500 or 6,900, forget what it was, we're down to 238 items. So these are the 238 items we're going to be requesting a discount on. But we're not going to stop here. Okay, we have to send something to our supplier. So I'm going to go ahead and download this as an Excel. So here's our list. So this is our list now. We have the ASIN, we have the product cost, we have all the information, our suppliers details are just here, and we have all the other information that we had with the ASIN. Now going just back to this for a second, we just to have a better view, we can also sort the list by the most sales to the least sales. So let's say bought in the last 30 days, high to low, just to have a bit of an understanding where we're at. Okay, so here are some of the highest selling ones. Okay, that's fine. Now, so, this one sells, for example, 10,000 units a month. Our recommended buy is 3,300. It's a lot, very high likelihood that, you maybe can't even list this product, but it's fine. You have to look at them individually to see which ones are worth it. But let's assume that you've looked through these and you know which ones you're going to be asking a discount on. The next thing you want to do, you want to create a new sheet or a new Excel spreadsheet actually, because you don't want to send them all the ASIN data and stuff like that. You don't want to send that type of information to your supplier. But what you should do, copy the product cost and these columns, the supplier's details, to a new Excel spreadsheet. And then what I would also do is come over here and find out the FBA offers count, which is right there. Copying that as well to a new sheet. So we have the FBA offers count. That's not for the supplier to see, by the way. We don't want them seeing that data. This is just for us for now. And then we also want to see the bought in the last 30 days. Just have that information here as well. Okay. Now, what we want to approach our suppliers and say, hey, we want a 30% discount on all these products. That's what we're going to say. That's how we're going to start this conversation. And then we're going to wait for them to come back to us. Now, the next part is how many units are we going to ask for them? Because they need to see a amount, a unit, we're willing to buy X amount if you can give us a 30% discount. You can go 40%, you can go 20%, whatever's reasonable with the supplier. So I'm going to name this column quantity to buy. You can name it whatever, requested quantity, whatever you want. So I'm going to come here and say this equals whatever's in this column divided by that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and apply this to the whole list. Now, some of these might seem a bit low. You probably want to increase that number to for this one here, 63 might be a bit too low. Maybe increase it to 200, or maybe you can have a different approach. Maybe you can just, whatever's in here, just halve it and say, and just ask for this. Remember, you're not actually buying these. You're starting a conversation with the supplier. So maybe you can also have another column where you say this equals whatever's in here and just divide it by 2, for example. So 350 for that one and so forth. So maybe this number might seem more reasonable to you, and kind of is a bit more reasonable, to be honest. Let's copy that in there. And we'll just delete this one. Okay, so next you'll be saying requested price, and you're just going to say equals whatever's in the product cost column, and you want to times it by 70%, which is a 30% discount. I'm going to apply it to the entire list. Okay, so now we've applied this discount to the entire list. Now, would assume, what I'd say is you probably want to recopy these two columns as values, because we're going to delete these because our supplier doesn't need to know this information right here. We're going to delete all that information right there. Let's keep the same color. Just keep that there like that. And let's delete these 1, 2, 3 columns because they don't need to know that information. Now, basically what we're asking for is we're going to say, hey, if you're willing to give, if we're willing to pay $1, we can pay, if you're willing to sell us 350 units for $1.50 or $1.60, if you're willing to drop the price to $1.60, basically, we're willing to buy 350 units from you. So you're going to send this list, okay? Now they might say, hey, you're crazy. No, we can only go up to this discount. They might say, okay, they might meet you halfway. They might meet you in the middle. It depends, but it's worth starting this conversation. If they're not willing to budge at all, maybe you should start looking for a different supplier. But most of the time, when a supplier sees quantities like this many units, we want to buy 200 of these, 300 of these, whatever, they're willing to start the conversation. They might meet you halfway. For example, this one here is $1.60. We're asking for $1.60. Their original price is $2.28. They might say, okay, look, we can do $2.10, $2.05. We might do $1.85. This one here is $10.37. They might say we might drop it to $9.10, whatever. You take these prices and you go back to your list and you enter these prices in your list and you see, is it worth buying? That's basically how you start the conversation. And if the conversation proceeds and progresses, it's you can actually start getting that competitive advantage that you need over your competition. Basically, start making some serious money. You have to get discounts to make money in this game. When you're also when everyone's selling the same product, the only thing that's going to differentiate you from the competitor is the pricing. You got to get better pricing. A lot of times you see new sellers in forums and on Facebook groups saying, "Oh my God, look at these idiots tanking the price." Okay, how does anyone even make money off these prices? Yeah, they don't have the same price as you. You're getting something at $20. They might be getting at $14 or $12. This is how it works. This is how the game is. I know there's a lot of tanking of prices. Prices drop all the time. You got to have that competitive advantage. You don't see any of the massive sellers complaining about this. You don't see any sellers doing $50-60 million a year saying, "Oh my God, all these guys are tanking the price." Yeah, they get the product at a massive discount because they know how the game works. They understand that prices dropping is just part of the game. So this is probably one of the best methods of really pinpointing which ASINs you should be focusing on in your product analysis and then requesting the discounts from the supplier. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see, and if you want to hear more tips and tricks, subscribe to this channel. If you want to get access to Astro, the link's in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.